AI is interesting because, a lot of marketers I think are concerned, right? They're frightened by the advancements in technology because inherently technology will replace a lot of jobs, but I personally see it very opportunistically in the fact that AI is just a new hammer for us, right? It's a new tool to be more effective, more efficient, more strategic in a lot of ways. So I really like AI and how we're developing it specifically in the world of e-commerce.
Welcome to the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast, the highly rated digital marketing podcast that provides weekly digital marketing tips and strategies from some of the world's top digital marketers and e-commerce entrepreneurs that will help you take your digital marketing to the next level. Sit back and enjoy this power-packed episode hosted by Arlen Robinson, who is an e-commerce entrepreneur and digital marketing expert with over 20 years of experience. Hey, Ecommerce Marketing Podcast listener. Are you looking to increase traffic and sales to your website? You can do this by launching your own affiliate program. Just visit getosi.com and sign up for a free trial today. That's getosi.com. Now get ready to hear from your e-commerce marketing expert of the week as they drill down to give you details on marketing strategies that can help grow your business.
Welcome back to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast, everyone. My name is Arlen, and I am your host. And today we have a very special guest, Adam Ortman, who is the president and founder of Kinetic319, a leading marketing and advertising agency headquartered in Denver, Colorado. Kinetic319 offers full funnel marketing campaigns fusing cutting-edge practices and consumer psychology to help mid-sized business transcend mediums and resonate with global audiences. Welcome to the podcast, Adam.
Thanks, Arlen. Really happy to be here, and thanks for the intro.
Yes, and thank you for joining me. Today is we got a hot topic, which is it's going to be all about AI, really. And I know who's not talking about AI as far as, we just mentioned that before we started recording.
Everybody's talking about AI. Every blog you read, every news post that's coming out, everything that's in our industry, what Google and all the other big players are pulling into their spaces, and even consumer tech like Apple. It's a bit pervasive as of right now, but it's an exciting time for us as marketers.
Yes, it definitely is. And so, really want to look at how AI is really impacting e-commerce and, how brands can stay ahead of the curve is really the bottom line. I think what most of our listeners want to know, and that's where we're going to kind of focus on today.
Yeah. And it's an exciting topic. And honestly, I have been in advertising for nearly 20 years, primarily on the agency side before going and opening up my own firm. My background is in marketing, consumer psychology specifically. So a lot of audience interactions and research and those types of things. I love that plays well into my practice. But AI is interesting because we went through the .com. We went through the big Google search buzz, and then mobile was the buzzword for about 15 years. And then now I think it's the AI buzzword. And, a lot of marketers, I think, are concerned, right? They're frightened by the advancements in technology. Because, inherently technology will replace a lot of jobs, but I personally see it very opportunistically in the fact that AI is just a new hammer for us, right? It's a new tool to be more effective, more efficient, more strategic in a lot of ways. So I actually really like AI and how we're developing it specifically in the world of e-commerce.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's really some exciting times, but you have to look at it, like you said, as a tool to help us get our jobs done more effectively. Now, you as, of course, the co-founder or the founder of Kinetic319 that focuses on marketing and consumer psychology. How did you really get into this path? Like, what really brought you to founding the marketing agency? What was the kind of backstory on, where you got to you are today?
Yeah, I again grew up in my adult career in agencies. And it got to the point where I was leading agencies and I was leading teams, and there was something that really stuck out to me as something that I hated about our industry. And um, you have these agencies that exist, and even at the time, my agencies were guilty of this, and it really fueled me to start my own agency. And that's really this idea about how cold and transactional agencies have become, and that in the that in the sense of you give the client a brief, they fill out the brief, you launch a campaign, you give them a bunch of numbers that they may not understand, and you invoice them and then rinse and repeat. Basically, a
Mhm.
lot of agencies go through the same model, and you end up with these marketing teams that are typically more junior in nature, working on some of these accounts, and they don't know what they're selling. They don't
Yeah.
know the business that they're selling for. They don't know why that business exists or the ethos behind it.
Mhm.
And that really irked me as a future entrepreneur in that time. But I also come from business owners. I'm actually the fourth generation business owner in my life. So
Okay.
I grew up with the idea of, building relationships with your customers and providing empathy and understanding, and really understanding how your product and services are impacting the lives of others. And I think that our industry, marketing specifically, has really lost that ethos or that soul.
Mhm.
So coming into my own firm, Kinetic319, where we focus on a lot of the strategy with planning of marketing campaigns, execution of those campaigns and analytics, as well as all of the SEO, those capabilities are very common across marketing agencies. But what sets us really apart is our onboarding and our relationship focus. So whenever we onboard a client, we have a unique onboarding perspective where we're meeting with the founders, we're meeting with the CEOs, we're kind of getting their vision and their soul really in their
Mhm.
businesses. So we get a very firm grasp onto why that business exists, what are they selling, what problem are they trying to solve for their customers. And on the flip side of that, we actually participate in the process to make us better
Okay.
marketers. As a very specific example, we just signed a chain of physical therapy offices across the country. And
Mhm.
so my staff, everyone on my staff, literally clicked on an ad, made an appointment, went to an office, went through an appointment, like the actual appointment, went through the service, and then now we're getting all the follow-ups and all that from the emails.
Mhm.
So that perspective was very unique because we got to see the whole process. We understand what the customer goes through, and inherently that makes us better marketers from a copy perspective, from a targeting perspective, et cetera. So that's really what led me to today in Kinetic 319, which
Okay.
is all about, finding the real audience, the real soul of that business, and building true partnerships.
Yeah, that's really good because instead of treating the client as just a line item on an invoice and
Hate that.
just
Hate it.
keeping it as it, pulling it away so it's just not a transactional type of relationship, I think is really good. And especially these days when you're talking about marketing, understanding the whole, like you said, the soul of the company is really important, especially because these days the buyer is so much more savvy and they want to know the behind the scenes. What is the company
Yeah.
about? What are their core values? And like you said, unless you get to know the company, the founder, you won't know those things and you won't be able to
Correct.
set up the right messaging for them. So yeah, that's really really good to know.
Yeah. I love it.
Well, yeah. So, of course, as we said, AI is all the buzz today in
It is.
e-commerce. It's changing on a rapid pace, of course. From what you've seen, what would you say is the biggest game changer so far that
Ooh.
AI has brought to the industry?
So the biggest game changer is actually something that isn't happening today. It probably happened about five to 6 years ago. So
Hmm.
Google and Meta and these, all the other digital ad platforms have been using some faction of AI for that period of time, for years and years. And so, coming from the background where Google wasn't even exist, it didn't even exist. I was running Yahoo Gemini ads back in when I first started, and you were
Okay.
having to literally adjust your bids by keyword, by like, but in each campaign. So everything was completely manual. they
Mm-hmm.
started rolling out some of these. The bid strategies inherently is an AI component within Google and Meta. So I would say that the evolution has been tremendous, but making the manual procedures of digital marketing, specifically in e-commerce on the ad side, that happened about, like I said, probably about 6, 7 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
That was a tremendous shift. Now I think it's becoming more on like the language and more on the cognition that AI, as in kind of the science fiction AI that we've kind of seen over the last 20 years or so.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. And I think today the biggest impact is not only in the audiences and the automations that we've been playing with for years, but I think it's also in the creative. The creative is so important today because we all unfortunately have the attention spans of a very short-sighted fish. So about 4 seconds,
Right.
sadly enough. So we live in a thread world, like we're swiping on apps all day long, or we're watching TV. That type of
Mhm.
6 second, 4 second mentality. So having refreshed creative is incredibly important because
Yeah.
if you see as a consumer the same ad multiple times, that ad fatigue is going to go through the roof very quickly. And that's something that's
Mm.
changing, I would say, just as we get more ingrained with digital devices, that
Mhm.
that ad fatigue that, if you go back to the world of Mad Men where you were looking at just billboards and radio ads,
Yep.
billboards, you could set a billboard up for 6 months and it would be just fine. But now with ads, you need to be rotating them out about every week, about every two
Mm.
weeks.
Wow.
And AI makes that a lot more scalable.
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely see that, and I've seen that in my own space as far as with what we've done as a company and what other
Yeah.
companies are doing, being able to iterate these changes so much more quickly. I think that's really a huge power to it. I love
Yeah.
that. First off, I love that analogy that you said that most consumers have the attention span of a short-sighted fish, which is pretty bad. I
True.
thought you were going to say toddler, but man, that's short-sighted fish. That's not good. So it kind of
Well,
shows us
it's
what
honestly
we're
the
dealing with.
truth, and that's
Yeah,
what brands have to be aware of is that you
yeah,
have 4 seconds. You have
yeah.
4 seconds, and so you
Hmm.
do with those 4 seconds the most that you can.
Yeah, yeah. You have to, because otherwise they're scrolling away, they're clicking away, they're looking somewhere else. So
Hmm.
that's not going to
Hmm.
change anytime soon. So yeah, as a brand, you have
No.
to just kind of deal with it. And speaking of brands, in your company, either your customers that you've been dealing with or just your knowledge of successful brands
Mm.
today, could you share a story about a brand that you're familiar with or you worked with that's really nailing it with AI? And kind of what are
Mm.
some specific things that they're doing that you think would be impactful for others to hear?
Sure. There is a healthcare group. I won't say exactly which brand it is because I'm going to go into what we're doing. So there's a healthcare group that we have partnered with, and the thing that I really like about them is that they're using AI both in front of the wall and behind the wall. And what I mean by that is the AI and processes that we're putting in place are basically full funnel in nature, but also on the other side of the wall from when someone becomes a lead and then goes into their sales system. The sales nurture process is leveraging a lot of the bits and bobs that we're collecting on the advertising side to help
Mm-hmm.
make that salesperson's job easier.
Mm-hmm.
So, from a full funnel approach, we have introduction of the brand all the way through to consideration or even conquesting or competitive type adjustments, and then we have um, bottom of the funnel branded and hard selling type media. And all of our messaging changes depending on as they go down that funnel process.
Mm-hmm.
That inherently is AI as well because we're leveraging AI to rotate copy out depending on where they
Yeah.
are in that funnel and what audience they're sitting in. And then
Mm-hmm.
once they become a lead, all of that information from what ad they clicked on, what page they went to, how long did they stay on a specific page. So if the page was more benefits or policy information or pricing information, those are the types of variables that then get passed on with the lead, and then from an AI perspective, gets summarized for the sales agent.
Hmm.
And so that AI summary is incredibly important, because then the
Yeah.
sales agent is armed with a lot more ammunition going into that
Yeah.
sales call to
Yeah.
then sign that individual onto the plan. Um, and there's also stuff like, if there's bundling involved, there's the pricing, there's a geographic location, and all of that just is available, rather than
Hmm.
having to have a conversation with the potential customer on like, where are you? what what
Hmm.
what are you interested in? you
Yeah.
you skip about 8 steps in the sales
Yeah.
process to get as
Yeah.
close to the close as possible. So
Yeah. That's huge.
I'm really happy with what we're doing here, with the real, melding of marketing and sales. And
Hmm.
I love that. And once we get further into this campaign and into this process, we're going to be putting together a very beefy case study on this, because it's so fun. But
Yeah.
sales and marketing, they're usually at ends.
Hmm.
And I think the technology and the data is really what builds the bridge between those two groups.
Yeah, yeah, I see that. I mean, it's just a huge time saving factor. Like you said, you
Yeah.
skip almost 8 steps in that example that you
8 steps.
gave because,
We identified
yeah,
8 steps.
eight
Yep.
steps. Yeah, that's really big because your salespeople, they're coming to these meetings just already armed with all of that info that they don't have to just uncover during the meeting. So yeah, they can really
Yeah.
just kind of get right to it and kind of tailor things based on what they already know. When they're coming into the meeting.
100%. And I know that I just gave a lead, like a lead generation type example, but from an
Right.
e-commerce perspective, it could be translated very similarly, right? So
Hmm.
using the AI to understand and build audiences from interactions on your e-commerce website, to then get back in
Right.
front of them with the effective message, with the effective product, whatever
Hmm.
that may be.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Now, it's really easy to, of course, get excited about AI and the potential with all of this, for sure, because it is exciting. There's a lot we see that is happening now, and then that can be happening in the future. But I
Yep.
can imagine brands that are diving into it are making some mistakes.
Mhm.
When it comes to it, what would you say are some common things that you've seen that are mistakes brands are making when they're implementing AI within their processes? And what would you kind of caution businesses against, or for them to avoid?
You need to maintain the human brain in the process,
Hmm.
because if you let AI do it all, it's going to be a bit funky, right?
Yeah.
Your copy is not going to read right. If you're using it to
Yeah.
make images, it's not going to look right. So I see that there are some brands that are making the mistake of maybe jumping in a bit too much into it,
Hmm.
because they're attracted by the cost savings or the time savings and things of that nature, which, there are arguments for both of those, cost and time. But
Yeah.
um, definitely continue to bring on partners or have internal resources that is reviewing everything,
Okay.
because inherently it's not perfect. And so
Yeah, that's true.
um, even with our agency, there are some packages that we offer to our clients, specifically on the content writing side, where if they want to charge a lower, if they want to pay a lower fee, some of the content that
Hmm.
we write can be AI generated, but we are
Hmm.
still completely reviewing everything and adding in human touches here and there, or even best
Hmm.
practices from an SEO perspective. So that's the number one mistake, is just to be too reliant on AI today.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I can see that. It can be kind of a crutch, you know,
Oh
for
yeah,
brands,
yeah,
especially if it's a brand that's a smaller shop, maybe a solopreneur that's kind of running everything, maybe has a few contractors, and yeah,
yep,
you do
yep,
have it makes it easy to just say, okay, I'm just going to rely everything on. I'm just going to generate all of my marketing, my product description copy
yeah.
from it. I'm just going to take everything as is and just kind of cut and paste. But yeah, you
And
can
if some
fall
of
into
your
some
models have
traps.
6 fingers, so be it.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I've seen some of those, but
Yeah,
it's getting a little bit better though.
it is
This
getting better.
the text to image generation, and then now the text to
Mhm.
video, the Sora. I don't know if you've looked into
Yeah. Oh
Sora
yeah.
at all? It's available now through
I haven't looked at
ChatGPT.
Sora, but I've looked at the other ones. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've seen some of
Or
the other
if it's
ones.
through
They
GPT, then I've probably played with it. I just haven't seen it. It's
Yeah, they just
called
kind of
Sora.
release.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet, but we're gonna start looking at it on our end. And from a little bit that I've seen, it's pretty good. Yeah, I agree. Some of those other ones, yeah, you're seeing people with six fingers and stuff like
Yeah.
that. A second head is kind of morphing away from
And
someone.
people
So
use them.
yeah,
They use the
yeah,
ad, and I'm thinking to myself, my God, like that's
yeah.
that. Like,
Hmm.
don't let it out into the wild. Don't do it.
Exactly,
Review it
exactly.
first. Yeah,
Yes, you have to have somebody proof all of that for sure.
absolutely, absolutely.
Um, and speaking of all of these advancements with Sora and a lot of this technology,
Yeah,
it's getting hard to keep up with because, as I said, the way the last stuff that I saw was really pretty good. I didn't see any six fingers.
good.
What do you see? Yeah, what did you see on the horizon for AI in e-commerce that you think marketers should just start preparing for now?
I think it's going to be an interesting time in the future because I think how we search, this is probably about 5 to 7 years in the future. How we search as consumers is going to change because you'll get to a point where, and this is my hypothesis, my prediction, we will get to a point where we're leveraging a lot of digital assistants, a lot of AI
Yeah.
assistants. So
Mhm.
if I am wanting some hiking boots to go hiking this weekend, and I'm getting, my AI asks me some questions about where I'm going and the level of hiking I'm doing, and then it will summon some options for me. So I
Mhm.
think that the idea of quote unquote shopping online is going to change because rather than us perusing kind of a universe of products, the grocery store aisle, if you want to make that analogy, um,
Mhm.
items will be brought to us. And I don't quite know the criteria of why those items would be selected for you as the summoner, right? So I think that Google's thinking about this right now. I think definitely Microsoft and Amazon,
Mhm.
etc. And so it's going to be an interesting thing to just keep in the back of your head, right? So just to think outside the box when it comes to e-commerce and just how consumer behavior in the shopping realm is going to change as our relationship with technology changes.
Yeah. 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 It's going to be interesting. Yeah. I definitely see this whole relationship changing with this, the end consumer and consumers becoming more comfortable
Yeah,
interacting with these
yeah.
types of agents. And yeah, just expecting people to, not shy away from it. Whereas, several years ago, talking to an AI chatbot was like, oh, what's going
Very
on?
foreign.
And,
Yeah.
you're immediately getting in there typing agent, agent, agent. Can I speak to someone real? But nowadays, yeah, I think people will get more comfortable, having a full conversation back and forth with these agents because it's going to be a lot better. They're going to be able to answer their
And I
questions.
mean, Siri is going to be, she's probably going to turn on. Siri is probably going to be even more powerful by then.
Yeah.
And so
Mm-hmm.
that agent just sits in your pocket. And that's
Mm-hmm.
something that you're going to be able to chat with all the time. And I mean, with the new release of iOS 18.4 for all of my other Apple nerds out there, including
Mm-hmm.
myself, that's actually the first time that they're allowing the AI Siri to contextualize all of the data on your device. So your
Okay.
calendars, what apps you have, text messages, conversations, and things of that nature. So
Mm-hmm.
they're phasing this into being a greater part of your life. And it's going to be interesting to see how that type of phase impacts how we as consumers shop. But
Yeah.
honestly, the conversations that I'm having with my clients in this regard is just continue to be nimble,
Mm-hmm.
continue to lean on experts like Kinetic319. We have direct relationships with Google, we have direct relationships with Bing or Microsoft ads, Meta, etc. So we're constantly getting information from those partners onto how to be most successful in some of these newer arenas coming out.
Yeah.
Everything that I've seen though, even on the SEO side, is provide the best experience for your customer. So
Mm-hmm.
make sure that your website is very easily navigated, make sure that your descriptions are very clear and concise and tailored to your specific audience. Out of all of the things, all the changes and conversations I've been having with a lot of these platforms directly, that seems to be a common thread.
Yeah, good to know.
Yeah.
Speaking of common thread and tools, you
Yeah.
mentioned AI integration with Siri and how you can take advantage of things like that. For someone that's, as we get ready to wrap things up, for someone that is just now getting into it and just saying, okay, all right, I need to really see what I can do with this AI. I haven't really done too
Mhm.
much with it. What's a good first step or a tool that they can start seeing some results just without overcomplicating things?
If you're a small brand and you're looking to just, incorporate AI in some way into your workflows, I mean, ChatGPT is the cheapest, easiest thing you can use. I mean, let it
Yeah.
write some copy for you, let it review,
Yeah.
let it, play around with some images,
Hmm.
let it do some research for you. I think that that's
Yep.
that's a huge item for you. That would be a good first step, and then get
Okay.
into some of the beefier and more advanced tools and leveraging it in different ways. Um, that's what I would say. Just explore, be curious and play around with it. I don't think that you necessarily need to, go out and start an LLC because you downloaded ChatGPT, but play
Right.
around with it. Be curious,
Yeah.
be playful with it, and then
Yeah.
start seeing how it could be best suited for your business.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm a huge chat GPT advocate, and I think that's a great first step. Very
Yeah.
cost effective. You can get in there. And like you said, research is a key thing. Yeah. You can do a ton of research. You can
Yeah.
research your competitors. You can try to research keywords and, get some marketing copy. And, you may still, of course, have to massage it. The key thing that I tell people all the time is just don't take everything verbatim.
Nope.
You're going to have to massage stuff. You're going to have to give
Yes.
it, you have to contextualize everything that you're telling it so it kind of
Mhm.
understands the scope of what you want. And I think if you do that, you can get some pretty good results. Yeah,
Yeah, I completely
for
agree. And
for
play
sure.
around with it and let it write product descriptions and those types of
Yeah.
things, right? Those types of tedious projects
Hmm.
that it can definitely cut some time. But to your point, massage it, contextualize
Yeah.
it, review it. Do not let it
Yeah.
be the end all be all.
Exactly. I totally agree. Well, Adam, this has been an awesome conversation. I've definitely learned
Yeah,
a
Arlen.
ton. It's an exciting time ahead of us with AI. I'm really excited to see what's going to be what's going to be the next Chat GPT, and
Yeah,
how is it going to change our lives. So, I think I'm just waiting to see what's going to happen. But it's coming pretty quickly, and I think it's going to really be an asset. I feel for e-commerce businesses. So you just have to be strategic about how you implement things and keep it moving.
fantastic. I completely agree. And thank you very much. This has been great.
Yeah, definitely. But lastly, before we do let you go, I always like to switch gears just a little bit, just so our audience can get to know you a little bit better. If you don't mind sharing one closing fun fact about yourself that you think our
Ooh.
audience may be surprised to know.
Prior to my marketing world, I was actually a rescue diver out of California. So
Oh
scuba
wow.
diving, blowing
Okay.
lots of bubbles and saving
Okay.
a lot of people in trouble. So that's a fun fact. That's a good
Okay.
icebreaker for me.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Good stuff, man. That takes an incredible amount of skill. First thing that came to my mind was the movie about the divers that rescued what was it? The boys. Oh, what is it? I believe it was
Hmm.
in Taiwan. I don't know if you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
in the
about.
cave or the
In the
mine.
cave.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. That's that was really a miraculous rescue that they were able to achieve with that. So
it's
yeah,
amazing.
it really is. So yeah, diving, scuba diving. I tried it once. I did a practice. I got I think a
Okay,
Groupon several years ago in or here in Orlando. There's a
yeah.
place where you can go. They have a diving pool. Actually, I didn't go out in the ocean, but they had a little trial thing, and I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, I think I would eventually like to take it the next level and maybe take some classes
I
to be
recommend
able
it to
to
everybody.
do some
So
things.
if you
Okay.
haven't tried it, try it. But it's a whole new world. It's incredibly peaceful. We live on
Yeah.
we're very blessed to live on an amazing planet. So
Yeah, we are.
definitely go explore it.
I'll definitely do that. Well, thank you for sharing that, Adam. That's awesome to know. And before we do let you go, if our listeners and viewers want to reach out to you and pick your brain any more about all things AI and e-commerce, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Absolutely. So our website's the easiest. Find out some more information about us at Kinetic319. That's
Okay.
Kinetic319.com. Also, any of our socials. So we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter. We just launched the end of last year an initiative called Ask Kinetic. So
Okay.
ask-kinetic.com. And that allows you to ask us any question that you may have. You get a free question
Okay.
that gets answered by me directly. We have a lot of people coming in there that asks about they're just getting started. Where should I start? Or, hey, we have, TikTok is on its way out. What should I do with my spend?
Yeah.
So we have questions all over the board there. That's a great way to get ahead of anything that you're planning going into the future.
Okay, awesome. We'll be sure to have the links to your site in our show notes and on our website. And thank you again, Adam, for joining us today on the E-commerce Marketing Podcast.
Arlen, thank you. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with everyone you know. Are you looking to take your digital marketing to the next level but are tired of weeding through countless YouTube videos with unproven and untrusted marketing strategies? Well, we have the answer for you. The More Sales Every Month online digital marketing course. In this information-packed course, you will learn effective keyword research, link building, content marketing, and much more to attract and convert your site visitors into paying customers. Just go to moresaleseverymonth.com and sign up today for a low one-time fee. In addition to this power-packed course, if you would like to get access to a growing repository of digital marketing articles, PDFs, and ebooks, check out getosi.com/resources and opt in to get full access to our library of priceless marketing information to help you take your digital marketing to the next level.